Hey there everybody and welcome back to the YouTube channel. And today we are continuing the painting series that I've been doing on this channel. This is episode 5 of the painting series. And in today's episode we're going to be continuing this background here. Now, to start off with, I've mixed some green and some yellow together on my palette here to get a nice smooth colour. And at the bottom here we have got a dark area, and we just want to lighten some of this background area up here. We're just using this wide brush just to cover a nice big area and just lighten some of this area up here. And the one very last bit of this painting is going to be this background area here. I still haven't really figured out, how I'm going to do that bit yet, what I'm going to do yet. That'll be definitely in a later episode. Just sort of blending it in as we go down with the darker bits. Because the illusion that I really want to create is that down here, just above the rocks, we've got an overhang. And again, that'll probably be one of the last sort of areas of this painting that I end up completing. So we're just going to go as low as we possibly can without messing up those rocks. And kind of just get a nice line going, but then sort of blend it in with the dark background to make it look like the grass is sort of overhanging these rocks on the embankment. This river has been hitting this embankment for a very long time, and the dirt and the mud and the sort of land has sort of eroded away over the years. So we're just going to get with the side of the brush just as close as we can. And because it's quite a dark colour, the background will come up off of the canvas a little bit when you do that. We don't want to get too close because we don't want to mess our rocks up on the edge there. And don't worry if you get any paint in places you shouldn't up here, because basically this bit, if we were to cut that little bit out of the painting there, it'll be done later on in the series. So I'm not really too worried if I do mess that bit up at the moment, because we're going to build a riverbank going up this way eventually. I don't know if that'll be in this episode or it'll be later on maybe. But we're not worried about that area at all at the minute. I'm just blending in all these colours here. Again, going with the side of the brush as close as we can. Going lightly over just to get all of those marks out. The brush marks. And we're just fading out with our finger into where we've got those bushes and shrubs. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put some more yellow on my canvas. A lot more yellow than green this time. We want it to be sort of dark and then go lighter as we go to the top. So I'm going to mix in some yellow and green. It's the best thing to do to make that sort of light grass green colour that you want. So we're just going to take scoop of yellow, set it over here, and a tiniest scoop of green, and we're just going to mix them in to each other with the palette knife. Mix them, mix them, mix them until we've got that nice light green colour. So we're just going to dip the edge of the brush in there, and we're just going to start over here where the grass meets these bushes and shrubs, and again we're just going to nicely blend that lighter colour in there. So the further away we get, the lighter we want to get. So very lightly, just blending all these colours in. Applying some more paint to my brush and just going along there, and then just going across, blending it in. I'm just going to go across. Blending all those colours in, yeah? Just right up to the bottom where we've got those bushes and shrubs. We're going to darken our colour up a bit. And just at the bottom of where we've got all of those bushes and shrubs, we're just going to tap a bit of a darker green on there. And then at the bottom, just at the very bottom, blend it in. Just to sort of neaten up some of these edges and just have like a nice mix, a nice blend of different greens in our background. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a bit more yellow because we want a light colour again. So we're just going to mix in a bit more yellow. Just going to get the same thing, tiniest bit of green, mix it in with our yellow. Right, so what I'm going to do, grab this really light, really quite a wide sort of fluffy brush and just slightly get a bit of paint on there, and at the bottom here we're going to do a different technique for the grass. We're just going to do some long wild looking grass there, so you can see that brighter colour over the dark with this very, very light, very sort of fluffy sort of brush. It's allowing us just to give the illusion of grass. What you want to do is go like in an upward motion like I'm doing here, just with the side of the brush. Very lightly, very sparsely. Sort of creating the illusion of, you know, we've got some really long, really wild sort of grass growing here. Let's just get a close-up of that. Now, if you find it's blending in too much, what you can do, you can add a lot more yellow in, just to, you want a nice bright colour. Nice bright colour. mixed in there. So I'm just going to wash my brush and just mix in a lot of yellow until we've got a nice bright, there we go, nice bright colour. And what you're doing with this fluffy brush is just going in an up motion like that. And you just want to get the excess off. You don't want that much paint on your brush. You want a little bit, the tiniest bit. And you just go in an upward motion. Maybe a bit too much there, but just like touches, upward motion like this. Sometimes it's too much, but you can just fade it out. So again, just upward motions. Different directions. Because this grass is is more in the distance, it's not going to be as detailed. So I just wanted to say that it's better with a fan brush, one of the wider, or feather brush or fan brush, whatever you want to call it. It's a lot wider and it's a lot easier, and it's also a lot thinner than this brush, just to get those little bits of grass that we want, you know. But I've got what I've got, you know. I've got what I've got to work with, so we're just gonna do the best we can just to paint some little bits of grass on you. Swooping upward motions. Now what you can do, if you don't have a fan brush, if you just have like a regular like fluffy, like flat sort of brush like this, you can sort of wet it in some water and pinch it together, bristles spread out a bit. But yeah, we're just gonna paint this long sort of wild sort of grass all over this painting. And like if you reckon it's too light or it's blended in too much in some areas, you can also go over the top with like some other colours as well. Just play around with it until you get the desired effect that you want, really. Put some yellows in there, put maybe some darker greens in there as well. It's whatever you want, really. But we're just going around as much of this as we possibly can. So as you can see, I just been playing around with different colours, some lighter, some lighter shades, some darker shades. But always using that upward sort of swooping sort of motion that I've been using to do this bit. But never having that much paint on your brush to begin with. Just dipping the edge and just playing around, going in different directions, using some different colours. some darks, some lights, create some different textures. Always just wiping that excess off, getting the bare minimum amount of paint, going in all sorts of different directions. Making that grass run wild, really. So I've done a bit more here, and I just wanted to say another thing that you can do is, what you do, you just wet the brush a little bit, you get it in the paint, and what that does is that brightens up the paint a bit more, and you get that desired effect of what you want. And also this way, you know, you're not spending all your time doing tiny little details when you can do hundreds of little details in a short amount of time, you know. So I'm just going to continue doing this all the way along until we've got a nice set of grass, a nice rows of grass going on all the way up until the background. Just carefully, just lightly, these upward swoops. Just using one side of the brush as well. I'm just using dabbing one side of the brush with the paint, and just using the one side for this technique until we get it just about everywhere. Not absolutely everywhere, otherwise, you know, it'll blend too much, but just about everywhere. Little bits at the top here, going off into the distance. And when you look and you think that's just about enough, you can then wash your brush and take a step back and look, and maybe you think could do with some darker areas. Just doing the same thing very sparsely, just here and it. Same thing, back of the brush, dabbing the paint just on one side of the brush. And you can go in different directions if you want to the left or to the right, just to make it a bit more wild. Just make sure you just don't have too much paint on your brush, because we don't want big blobs of paint, big splotches of paint. So there you go. A little bit here. Wipe that excess off and just very, very lightly. I'm just putting some dark areas where I think it's too light or it's been blended too much, just to add a bit more depth, a bit more texture in there. literally just dabbing the lightest amount of paint on. Now if it does blend like it has a bit there, don't worry, just leave that bit to dry, and you can go over again then in some way lighter tones or something, just to make it sort of stand out a bit more. Because sometimes the paint will look very, very bright when you first put it on there, and then when it dries, it might darken up a bit. So that's where you could maybe, just let it dry and put some more on later on. So we're back again, and now I've mixed some yellow on my palette, and in some areas we're just gonna put some yellow, maybe some dead grass going some different directions. Just once again, just to add some texture, just to highlight some areas, and to add some detail. Get a bit more yellow on the palette there. Some areas maybe the paint is blended a bit too much, so we're just going to add some yellow just to get some texture, get some detail. Just in some areas where we want some more, maybe we've got some longer grass, some little shrubs growing here and there. Just kind of deciding where we want it. Very, very light touches with our brush here. Sometimes, you've just got to take a step back and look, and then come back in, add some more paint, take a step back, look at the areas that may be a bit bland, look at the areas that you maybe want a little bit more detail. Things always look different from further away, So this yellow paint just adds just a nice bit of texture. In some parts, Don't want to go crazy with it. Just add it, just dot it around the place sparsely. Always getting rid of that excess on the palette, just to make sure the paint isn't too thick and we haven't got too much. Again, it's all about layering these light colours, the dark colours, the light colours over the top of each other to create these lovely textures and details that we want. So here's just a bit of a close-up of how that grass is looking. Let's just zoom in a little bit for you here so you can see how I'm doing this. And we ain't all going in one direction, mostly up, but sometimes diagonally up, to the left, to the right. Sometimes you want more texture, you can use more paint. Less texture, less paint. Brighter colour, just add a little bit of water to that brush, not too much. So we're back again, and I've added some more detail into the background there. I have been using that cutting technique that I always do. I don't know why, I really just love that technique, man. It just creates such a great effect in my opinion, and just like really good detail. Even though this is, you know, this is more further away and we don't need that as much detail on here, I really love using that technique because it just creates such texture and such detail that I can't really get with any other technique, you know. So I think we're almost done with this grass area, to be honest. I'm just going to add some splots of paint in, just literally just dotting it around. We're just going to do that cutting technique just in a few different areas, just to create like a bit of effect, like a longer, spikier sort of grass. Maybe the type of grass that you'd see, you know, on the side of the mountain or something like that, you know. Just the last few little bits of details, nothing too much. Again, this is the background. I just wanted to, you know, give this painting a bit more texture, a bit more something, you know, when you look at it, it draws your eyes in as well, you know. So we're just going to do that in a few areas, sort of just dotted around the place here and there. We're back, and I noticed it was getting a little bit dark, so I wanted to put in some light, some better light in here. So as you can see, I think we are just about done with that grass area, to be honest. I don't think there's anything more I want to add in there. So the next thing that we're going to do now is I want to add some clouds in. So I'm just going to get a bit of white on our palette here, and just with a slightly wet but not too wet, we just dipped the end of the bristles off in some water, and we just slightly dampened the brush. A bigger sort of brush is needed for this, and we're just going to add in some clouds into this painting. Very, very light clouds, because it's a dark, sort of gloomy sort of day, so we're gonna fade them out a little bit, as you can see there. Just to again add a bit of depth into this painting, a bit of texture, a bit of something to have your eyes drawn towards. Not too many clouds, just gonna choose a couple little spots to put them. Kind of fading them out into the background, like, you know. So we're just gonna put some on the horizon here, kind of next to our bushes and shrubs, and we're just gonna fade them out sort of in the distance. make this one a little bit thicker, a bit brighter over here, bit bigger as well. You want a nice big cloud there. We're gonna do a little bit of the top, and we'll do a nice thin small cloud here. So there's those clouds. I think that's enough. Just adding a little highlight here and there, but not too much. It's quite a dark, gloomy sort of day. And there we have it. Those are our clouds completed now for this painting. I say completed, actually, again, just stepping back, just taking a look that maybe we want some darker areas. Maybe this one has got a bit of darkness on the bottom of it. You know, maybe we can sort of darken these clouds up a bit. I've just literally just stuck a bit of black on our canvas, and I've mixed it with the white, just the tiniest bit, to make a lighter sort of grey colour. And just at the bottom of these clouds, sort of in some bits, just to get a bit of colour into them, a bit of texture into them. Just at the bottom of them, you know. There we go. Kind of fading them out a little bit as you go out. So there we are. There's our clouds on this painting. Now the very, very last thing that I want to do is I'm going to grab some red and stick that on our palette here. Some red and some, I think it's called like rose sort of colour. So we're just going to put the smallest amounts on our palette here. Just literally tiny little drops. We don't need a lot. And you know what, I'm just going to add in at the bottom here a couple of little flowers. Just little dots. Little roses, little flowers and things like that. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do the same, just very lightly touching the canvas, dotting all over the place, very sparsely. Just here and there. Maybe this, even though it's grey skies out, maybe it's the start of spring. And there are some little flowers. There we go. So, we're probably coming towards the end of this video, where we're gonna stop painting soon. I'm just going to add a little bit of green just to neaten up the bottom of where these bushes are. Just to kind of neaten this area up a bit. Just lightly dabbing at the bottom of where these bushes and shrubs are, you know. Again, this is just adding a little bit of depth, a little bit of texture, and we're just gonna blend those colours in just to neaten up this area a little bit. So there we go. I think that is enough painting for one day, and so I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Anyone who has been watching every single episode, I thank you for watching, and that's it from me for now.